And welcome back, finally, to yet another part of Killer is Dead. Today is episode 6, The Man Who Stole Her Years. Now, I already did 2 more tiers of the Gigolo missions, mainly because I wanted to make sure I got all the sub-weapons, so finally maxed it out, and now I have the charge cannon, so hopefully I'll find reason to use it and showcase that a little bit. But right now it's 8:07 p.m. on Monday, December 7th, and I say let's just get into it.
Miss Jubilee, your gift is one that all the world desires. Let's keep it in here. Now, my dear, put on these headphones. Now the sounds you create will only twist and befoul people's emotions. Feelings of kindness and happiness will turn hateful and murderous. People will turn on each other in a brew of turbulent passion.
Episode 6, The Man Who Stole Her Ears. And that is to be taken quite literally.
I'm Brian. I run the place. Now that you're here, there's nothing to worry about. Please feel free to...
I see. He stole from her the very essence of what it is to be a musician. And he's a musician as well? That bastard. We'll get your precious sounds back to you, no matter what it takes. That's a promise.
Now, if you would, please read this and sign.
Here we are. Our music man is on the top floor. If there's anything, I'll use the radio. Good luck.
Understood. I'll take care of it.
Good answer. Wait, because our client is pretty?
No. Because it's my job.
Alright. This is probably one of the most interesting levels, but it also can kind of drag a little bit, but so do a lot of the levels as the game progresses. They do tend to drag a little, mainly because that's kind of the whole style of beat-em-ups, because they end up tending to take a little longer because it's hard to really add in new challenges as you go without having a little bit of repetitiveness to it. So I honestly don't mind it. It's just every so often you hear of people like complaining about how long this level is, how like repetitive the game gets, but it's kind of just the style. Although Suda always does manage to try and shake things up at least a little bit with his hack and slashes. But, I mean, you gotta hand it to the guy. He at least knows how to make a very interesting world design. I'm not going to be talking as much, mainly because a lot of, like, this level, there isn't as much really to be said. especially about the game itself. And plus, if I'm trying to keep spoilers and everything to a minimum, it gets a little difficult to really come up with commentary on the fly, at least without completely scripting it, or just rambling. But yeah, there are a few things around here that are destructible, so I like to make sure I take my time to take in the atmosphere and get all the destructible stuff, just because you never know what actually is a secret and what's not. Although those do hurt, so getting too close to them is bad.
Company assassin.
Yeah, and the guy will almost entirely kind of watch and follow you as you play this level. He's very aware of what you're doing, essentially.
This is gonna be easy.
Here's where we start getting where we start seeing some of the more, like, bigger wires. This is still just like a grunt, but he's a little bit tougher, mainly because he's got a little bit more armor. He's got a much heftier looking weapon. And the dude actually does more damage than the other grunts that you see, so we're not yet into, like, ridiculously difficult enemies. I mean, obviously, for me, probably one of the worst ones that I can find is the Reapers, but personally, we're not into that zone of just everything's going to be very difficult yet. And like as of right now, so you got more grunts. Still a little bit heftier than the ones that we've seen before. Trying to avoid getting hit as much as I can because I have no blood meter, and I also don't want to get killed and my health's already low. But it can be difficult, especially when they kind of attack one by one. Because you gotta basically constantly be on your toes for the next guy and keep a rhythm. Because otherwise you'll just end up getting killed. Let's get some health back here. Sometimes it's nice to just do a quick guard break and make sure that once he starts guarding, you do want to utilize that, because otherwise it just becomes its own problem. There we go. Alrighty. Again, this is on very hard, and I've not really played on anything other than maybe hard at the most. I just felt like challenging myself since I've basically already done this whole game before, just on a different console. Figure why not.
Test?
Shit. Just stop doing that. Oh yeah, these bigger grunts also have, like, specials, which are, as you can see from those, like, purple lines and stuff there. Those things basically are just unblockable. I don't really use guard anyways, because obviously you can see there's much more benefits to, like, dodging and then using just guards and whatnot, so a lot of times when I get hit, it's because I'm not focusing on guarding at all. I'm focusing on just ultimately trying to take their defenses head on. But it ultimately does have a better benefit. It helps you kind of keep that rhythm that you really do need for these kinds of games. Alright, give me some more moon crystals. Shit. Yeah, sometimes they will get a head off on you at least once.
How long are you gonna keep me waiting? It's well past our meeting time. Security spike detected.
I do get very irritated by the constant calls that they give you, though. When it's like, hey, you can do this gigolo mission again. It's like, I already just did it off screen. You can just not. That'd be great, but I ain't gonna do it on camera, because YouTube guidelines, you know. I'm surprised nobody's ever tried to make like a different video platform, honestly, like just a solely video platform. I feel like YouTube's kind of had that monopoly for years and just, you never see it anywhere else. I don't know, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, but now we're starting to get into gameplay differences, where I actually have to rely on muscle back. Which is good, because I'd rather not be stuck constantly. So, I have an upgrade that I already like predisposed myself for, which is, what it does is, like, you can see me dodging the bullets, and then it pulls up that cursor to click. What that is basically a counter, so it allows me, instead of having to just like shoot, if I do the dodge just like a melee attack, but for a ranged attack, I can essentially just immediately fire back, instant headshot, instant kill. Essentially, that's what that does. Shit. See, that's another thing they can do, is they can grab. And that shit can really mess you up, especially if there's a ranged fighter around. But, you know, we'll worry about that another time. Get him out of the sky. And I really don't want to deal with you guys. Shit. Yep. Yeah, this is where the charge cannon would be useful for, assuming that, you know, I'm using it, but since I gotta worry about the melee guys, I'd rather, they're more of a threat to me than the rangers, honestly. Even though ranged people can do a lot more damage overall, it's just the fact that you constantly have to worry about taking damage, even, like, that's immediately going to hit you, as opposed to the one that's slightly delayed. You can usually work around dodging those shots a lot easier than you can these guys. There we go. Get that. There we go. Get that health back, so I don't have to waste more blood trying to heal. Alrighty. Now, that's why it's also a good thing to use muscle back, because you have to focus on different points that can hold secrets, or just overall points like that. Because obviously, you know, you can't get across the gap if you didn't just shoot that down, but if you didn't know you had to shoot it down, how the hell are you going to figure that out? Muscle back pretty much reveals every destructible in the environment, so it's a lot better to just rely on that and do a quick scan around instead of worrying about, you know, hey, where the hell is it, sort of deal.
Yes!
Oh yeah, and this is where she comes in to help for the first time.
I can lend a hand.
Yeah, she has that weird, like, super gun attack, whatever, with, like, many arms. It's really bizarre, but goddamn is it effective. Because essentially it just kind of opens up the channel for you to just worry about collecting shit for a little bit. See? There she goes. If you're wondering how she got in here, I am too. I have no idea. There's literally no hint or testament to how the hell she got in here, but, you know, whatever. Alright.
Oh, I knew you would come find me.
Another smaller
Feel free
location.
to stop by anytime you want. I'll be waiting.
There we go. Alrighty. Just making sure I'm topped off real quick. Plus I also hit shift because I forget space is my dodge sometimes. I'm used to shift or something being it. Alright. Now we get this guy, one of the invulnerables. There's actually a good reason for them to kind of showcase this as a cutscene, even though we've seen their types before.
Wonder, that door is locked with a retinal scanner.
Exactly.
Why don't you use that goon's eyes?
So yeah, a lot of times from this point forward, a lot of these invulnerables are actually very useful to you because they're not just an enemy to take down, they actually have a point to proceed, namely being the retinal scanners that are shown sometimes. Obviously, Muscleback can take care of fingerprint scanners, but when it comes to eyes, you know, Mondo's only
Grab that
person.
head and get going.
Can't really change his eyes on a dime like that, so you grab the head that they drop, and go ahead and use it for the retinal scanner, toss it away, and
Come
then you're good.
inside, assassin. This whimsy amuses me.
But yeah, Suda definitely does try to continually add new things so that the repetitiveness of the hack and slash
The
genre
entrance to an
doesn't seem so
elevator that will
bad.
take you to Victor's last known location is at the top of this structure. I can see from the security feed that it's not going to be easy for you.
Yeah,
I'll be the judge of that.
pretty sure that's not destructible, yeah. So yeah, a lot of the environment changes are really helpful for that, and a lot of times, like, he will throw in a new mechanic that it's not just like a mechanic specific to the environment. A lot of times it will continue and persist throughout the game, which honestly is really nice, because if there's one thing I hate, it's having a mechanic that you get specifically for something, but then it never shows itself again. Yeah, those are mines, by the way. That's why I was trying to shoot them down as much as I could. Probably would have been better to use the freeze gun, but oh well. Yeah, again, there's usually a few more tricks that he likes to throw in here and there to try and make you feel like you're not just playing the same part again and again.
They've retracted the access bridge behind you. I'll get it back for you.
No bother. The only way to go is forward.
Yeah, see, so like, that explosion definitely helped, because then now I could get that guy's shield away from him, and now I can actually take him down. Need to charge up. There we go. There we go, now he dropped it. There we go. Perfect. Now here come more gunners, but also a lot of weaker enemies. I actually forgot there's a crouch mechanic. Usually I'm moving around too much to really worry about it, honestly. Plus with the, like, gunfire dodge counter, that shit's just, it becomes kind of pointless, because you can literally just continue your flow. Heading. There we go. Now there should be another gunner somewhere around. Shit, there he is. There's a few more, actually. There's also that guy, and I'd rather worry about him. Alright, so here's the actual charge cannon. It's only level 1, but as you can see, that's basically what it does. It charges up, and since it's only level 1, it deals a decent amount of damage to smaller enemies, for sure. And ranged guys are generally weaker anyway, so it's not like you really have to worry about them too much. Usually you can just take them out with a quick amount from Muscleback, but they get stronger, of course. Just since this is the first introduction of them, they're generally pretty squishy, as most ranged enemies would be. But taking that fact into account, it's not that the charge cannon isn't good. It's a really, really good gun, honestly. It's more just, I tend to forget about Muscleback in general because it's useful in situations, but not like you'd be relying on it almost entirely throughout the game. I mean, most of the enemies you will fight are melee or a fusion of melee and those ranged fighters, like mixed in the same forces, but the point is, don't expect to constantly be relying on your gun the only thing I really rely on it for is making sure my environment's okay and everything, so that's most of the time what I'm using it for, but it is handy in this situation, so it's not like it's underused. Alrighty. Here we got more little secrets, kind of. So these back rooms, they are kind of secrets, but kind of not. The main thing about them is that some of them do actually have stuff to them, but others just realistically you don't get to see much of them. So like see here, gotta use that. There we go. And there's other switches to hit and everything, but it's kind of a explore around sort of deal. I'm pretty sure that each time you press that button, it actually changes the scenery a little, like it rotates around once, so I am probably going to continue to explore around this area, not just for the sake of finding everything like that I know of, but more just for the sake of making sure that I get everything in the environment, because the last few times I've tried this and I've kind of just bum rushed through everything, certain things definitely evaded me because I did not explore around enough. Like right now I can't get to the actual exit anyways, so I need to continue the gateway turning around to make sure that, you know, I'm getting there. So it'll always rotate around. Eventually I'll find the right switch and hit that bridge, but I think I want to go down one more anyways, just to make sure that I've gotten everything below, because some of the rooms do have stuff, some of them don't, but won't know if you don't go through all of them, you know. Let's see, here's the switch to extend the bridge. Oh no, never mind. It wasn't the switch to extend the bridge, but it was this.
And I thought I hit myself pretty well. Color me impressed. Feel free to stop by anytime you want. I'll be waiting.
Yeah, mainly any of the secrets will involve Scarlet, but ultimately, some of them do actually have some pretty useful things, namely, like, the level crystals, some moonstone ore, a lot of destructibles, stuff like that. It's kind of just a figurative hit or miss. You kind of just gotta look around and figure it out for yourself. Well, that dropped something. Oh well. Either way. See, now we actually have the extendable bridge there. So now, instead of having to use that thing, I could just run all the way around. Which would mean the exit's right there, and I've opened it. I want to make sure there's nothing else in there. But, again, I've already stated I want to go use the stairs real quick and check to make sure there's nothing below me that I missed. Because if there is, I'm going to feel kind of stupid and have to play this again off camera, and I'd rather not do that. As much as I love to play through missions again, it seems like the more you play them, it just tends to get a little bit dull, honestly. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this one... Oh no, this one isn't even... You can't even go back. Okay. So yeah, the literal only one where it does that is the top one. And once you get to the exit, you're basically fine. So it's just a matter of making sure you explore around a little bit, but either way, once you've opened up the bridgeway, you know, you can easily explore around. So either way, didn't miss anything. Feeling good about that. Then hit that again for another Scarlet location.
You wanted to see me? I knew you would come. Feel free to stop by anytime you want. I'll be waiting.
But yeah. Point is, check your corners. You never know when there's going to be something there. I always hit that just kind of for luck, but there's nothing to it. It's literally just there for no reason. Shit. Now, I hate these drones simply because they can be really annoying in groups, but ultimately they're really not much of a threat. Like, those drones are pretty squishy and really don't pose much of a problem to you. It's just obviously, you know, if I'm fighting this guy and I got a drone shooting at me, you know, it's gonna be a lot more... I'm gonna have a lot more trouble fighting this guy because I'm gonna constantly be getting shot, plus drones become much more stronger, much stronger than as the game goes on, as just about every other enemy is. But again, it always comes down to just preference, I suppose. How do you want to take things out, and what works best for you, honestly. But that's as most games are. Alright. Here we got Mr. fucking soon-to-be headless. But I want to make sure I get all this stuff first, please. I'd appreciate it. Plus, who knows, might knock some damage off into him. Alrighty. Now let's take care of this fool. Now, the one thing I like about these guys is their attack scheme is very predictable. Like, a lot of times when they turn like that, they'll immediately just go in for an attack, so you can easily use that time to just guard them. And all it takes is, like, when they block, you hit them 3 times, and ultimately, you can guard break that, I'm pretty sure, but it's just, it doesn't seem like there's much of a point when you can already, you know, do what you do and kind of lure them into an attack, you know? It seems ultimately pointless when you can just follow through as you want to. But, yep, once you kill him, fucking, damn it. Yeah, sometimes it can be a little finicky, especially when you've just dodged into it to kind of speed yourself up, but ultimately, there we go. So yeah, we're essentially just climbing the tower to get to, you know, what's-his-face, so. And like I said, this does tend to drag a little, you know. The game itself is fun, but later levels do have a kind of drag to them, but that's mainly because, like, they want to fill it in with as much as they can of just, like, actual gameplay. It's not that it's not fun, it definitely is fun. I enjoy every encounter that I have. It's just it can get a little tedious. But here we have what I like to call brutes, or giants, whichever. But point is, these guys are a pain. Not in the sense of they're hard. I mean, of course they're difficult, you know, they're a much bigger, much stronger unit, but the main thing I consider them to be a pain is the fact that they hurt like a motherfucker. They really hurt. So, it's best to just kind of avoid their attacks. You can still just guard them, of course. And it gives you a slight opening, it's just, ultimately, it does take a while to whittle them down, because they are essentially tanks. But I do like to use their smaller units around them to kind of fuel my blood and make sure that I'm even able to take them down. That's the thing. But yeah, the smaller units are definitely better. But they also have, like, that whirlwind attack that all of them use. That's basically just so they can get you away from them. They are very slow, so it's not like you have to constantly worry about them taking you down. The main thing, the main enemies that have to worry is their fellow enemies, because these guys have a good tendency to kill their own kind, which is great for us. You know, just not so much for, well, obviously them. Yeah, when they pull that whirlwind attack, you see them charging that up, you definitely want to run, because that shit cannot be blocked. It can very much only be dodged. But definitely hurts. Sometimes even if you dodge and you get the prompt, it's not fast enough. So like as you saw just then, I still got hit, you know. Now see, the elevator's already here. You know, I don't have to continually try to kill this guy, but where would the fun be in that, you know? That's like half the fun. Shit. See? I still find it fun even if I got taken down. Besides, these guys aren't impossible to kill. They're very possible to kill, it's just, they're hard as hell. But once you get them into a stun position, which happens every so often, usually through just guards, a little bit of guard breaks, stuff like that, they're really not that bad. The main thing is to kind of lure them into an attack, and then just guard it. But as you can see, obviously also, you know, as you attack them, their armor breaks off slowly, so it makes them a lot more vulnerable. So essentially they are like progressive fights to get through, which personally I enjoy. I like when people go through the trouble of making it so that you can actually whittle away at an enemy. There we go. We slit his throat, got some health levels. But with that, it is time to wrap up this portion up. I'll finish up this mission in the next part, so until next time, see you later. Hey, you again. If you liked the video you saw, go ahead and head down to the description. I got a PayPal money pool set up for just any donations. It's a hobby, so don't feel the need, but anything helps. See you next time.